Hey, folks, let me tell you about the time my quiet little world got turned upside down when I came back to my family's land and found a whole neighborhood built on it, my land, stolen right out from under me. I'm Jack Callahan, retired Marine, not much for tears or big speeches, but this was a fight I didn't see coming. One that'd make me question everything I thought I knew about home, justice, and just how far some folks will go to get what they want. Picture this: 200 acres of rolling hills in Willow Creek, Tennessee, land my dad, Tom Callahan, poured his heart into, land I hadn't set foot on since I was a kid, now crawling with bulldozers, chain-link fences, and signs screaming private HOA property, no trespassing. I'd come back to Willow Creek in the spring of 23 after Dad passed. Didn't cry at his funeral, not 'cause I didn't love him, God knows I did, but I'd learned long ago, out in the desert with my unit, that grief's a quiet thing, something you carry, not something you show. Dad left me the land, his pride and joy, 200 acres of fields and creeks where I used to run wild, where he'd sit on the porch with his coffee, watching the sun dip behind the oaks. I pulled up in my old Ford pickup, expecting to see his fields, maybe a few deer, but instead, half-built houses, a shiny new road called Magnolia Grove Lane, and a sign bragging about Sterling Heights development. My stomach dropped. Something was wrong, real wrong. I stepped out, boots crunching on gravel, my dog Rusty panting beside me, and there it was, a metal fence cutting right through where our old barn used to stand. I walked the edge, heart pounding, and saw it wasn't just one fence, they were everywhere, slicing up the meadow, blocking the creek where I used to fish with Dad. Up on the ridge, rows of houses stood like they owned the place, their frames glaring against the sky. I drove straight to the county office, figuring there'd be answers. The clerk, nice enough lady, gave me this tight smile and said the land's been under HOA control since 2020. How? I asked, voice low, trying not to lose it. She shrugged, said to talk to the HOA. I didn't. I went back to the land, walked every inch of it, past trees I climbed as a kid, stones I'd skipped across the creek. This was ours, Dad never sold it, not a single acre. That night, I slept in the truck, Rusty curled up tight, the stars above the same ones I used to count as a kid. Couldn't sleep much, my mind racing. Who did this? How'd they pull it off? Next morning, a white Lexus rolled up, and out stepped Linda Hargrove, HOA president, all fake smiles and a blazer so bright it hurt my eyes. Mr. Callahan, you're on private property, she said, like she was scolding a stray dog. I let the silence hang, then leaned in. No, ma'am, you're on my land. Her smile twitched, just for a second, before she doubled down. This is Sterling Heights HOA property, has been for years. Take it up with the city. I didn't budge. I'm not going anywhere. She huffed, warned me about her legal team, and peeled out, gravel flying. Rusty growled. I felt the same. By noon, 2 guys in hard hats showed up, claiming they were from Sterling Heights Development, checking for security violations. I asked for ID. They had none. Asked for a work order. Zilch. You're trespassing, I told them. They called me uncooperative, but when Rusty barked, they hightailed it. That night, I cracked open Dad's old lockbox, stuff I hadn't touched since he passed, deeds from '68, tax receipts, a notarized letter from the county confirming our ownership through 2021. No sales, no transfers, nothing. This wasn't a mix-up, it was a theft. I filed a records request with the county 10 days, they said. Meanwhile, I talked to old neighbors, folks Dad used to share beers with. They told me about Linda Hargrove, her neighborhood enhancement fees, her fines for unapproved fences, her cozy chats with city planners. She wasn't just running an HOA, she was running a racket. Every morning, I walked the land, noting new stakes, orange flags popping up like weeds, marking gas lines, cables, or just Sterling Heights HOA. By day 3, they'd put up a wooden gate with a keypad, a sign reading residents only. The nerve of these people. I snapped a photo, sent it to the county, got nothing back. So, I drove into the heart of their shiny new neighborhood, sidewalks gleaming, solar roofs, lawns mowed to perfection. It was surreal, like stepping into someone else's dream, built on my memories. I stopped at their sales office, a fancy setup with leather couches and a model of the neighborhood, my land, carved up into lots, a fake pond where our creek used to be. A kid in a polo shirt offered me a tour, then froze when he saw Rusty. "This area's homeowner only," he stammered. I pulled out the deed. "This is my land, son. Why's it being sold?" He bolted to get his boss, Victor Nash, the developer himself, all slick suit and fake charm. "Mr. Callahan, we've been expecting you," he said, like we were old pals. In his office, he tried to smooth-talk me. "Just a misunderstanding. Happens all the time with old deeds." I wasn't buying it. "You paved over my dad's orchard. Explain how that's a mix-up." He offered cash to resolve it quietly. I walked out, told him he'd see me in court. Next day, Linda Hargrove was back with her HOA posse, 3 guys in golf shirts looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. "You're disrupting a multi-million-dollar project," she snapped. "This is harassment." I turned, slow. "Get a court order, Linda, or you're just a trespasser in a cheap blazer." Her jaw clenched, and they left, but I knew they weren't done. Sure enough, an unmarked envelope showed up, offering $30,000 for Lot C, 80 acres of my land, already half-built. An insult. I called my old buddy Mike Torres, a lawyer who'd handled Dad's estate. He showed up the next day, sharp as a tack despite his beat-up Jeep. "They're lying through their teeth," he said, flipping through my papers. "This land's yours. Always has been. Let's shut 'em down." Mike filed an injunction to stop construction, and we dug deeper. County records showed no sale, no transfer, just a shady permit from 2020, signed by some city planner who didn't bother checking ownership. Then we found gold. A 1975 letter, notarized, stating the Callahan land was exempt from annexation, untouchable without our say-so. Mike grinned. "They're screwed." But they didn't go quietly. Linda sent more threats, even a drone buzzing my truck one night. I stood on the porch, shotgun in hand, just watching it hover. Didn't shoot, didn't need to. They were scared, and I was just getting started. The community started waking up. At a town hall, folks who'd bought homes on my land spoke out. A mom, holding her kid, asked, "Do I even own my house?" A retiree shouted about Linda's $600 fine for his unapproved mailbox. A clerk admitted he'd been told to erase my deed from the system, thinking I'd never show up. The room buzzed with anger, not at me, at them. Mike dropped a bombshell in court. Emails between Linda and a city planner plotting to reassign my land as HOA surplus. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a voice like gravel, didn't blink. "Someone's lying," she said, "and we're going to find out who." The hearing was a bloodbath. Mike laid out 50 years of our land's history, deeds, maps, Dad's exemption letter. Linda's lawyer tried to dodge, blaming the city, but those emails? They burned her. One read, "Jack Callahan won't notice till it's too late." The judge's jaw tightened. Linda stared at the floor. "We won, the land was mine, construction illegal, damages awarded." But I wasn't done. I didn't want those houses torn down, didn't want families displaced. They were victims, too. So, I made a call. I'd sell the homes, but not to developers, not to vultures like Victor Nash. I set up the Callahan Land Trust, no HOA nonsense, just fair leases for the families who wanted to stay. I walked door to door, 150 homes, handing out letters. "This land was stolen, but you can stay. Help me rebuild what they broke." Most cried. Some hugged me. A few slammed doors. Those folks got 30 days to leave. I sold their homes to locals who'd been priced out, families who deserved a shot. Linda's old mansion? Turned it into a community hub, library, food pantry, free legal help. The creek they buried? We dug it out, planted trees, brought the land back to life. Victor Nash got hit with fraud and racketeering charges, caught trying to flee to Mexico. Linda vanished, then popped up with a scripted apology, her voice shaking as a kid in the crowd called her the lady who stole the trees. The city offered to buy the common areas for a public park. I donated them instead, on one condition: name it the Tom Callahan Preserve after Dad. They did. One evening, an old man, a friend of Dad's, found me by the creek. "Your dad would be proud," he said, voice thick. I just nodded, throat tight, watching the water flow. The money came $8.2 million after fees and fines. I didn't keep much, just enough to fix the old barn, make it my office. The rest went to the trust, to the land, to the people who'd help it heal. I sold the last homes to veterans, young couples, folks who'd never had a chance under Linda's reign. And yeah, I turned down a $20 million